Okay, well,
Sorry, pardon me.
okay. Well, I just wanted to get some, we get some pre-roll before we decide to actually roll.
Hello there. Welcome to On the Beat, the podcast that uncovers full frontal male nudity in cinema. My name is Laura, and I'm here with my... Yeah, I was trying to think of something fun. You're Ryan. Ryan's fun.
It's always good just to
My co-host.
just
my
go
man.
with the standard. Just go with the standard.
The man. My man, Ryan.
I'm your man.
The man.
Well, no, I'm your man. No, I'm not the man. What would that follow up?
You're the man.
The man about town.
No, you're not that.
No, I'm not. I'm nobody's man apart from Laura. She bought me, but she bought damaged goods. I've been having a terrible day today. So.
And I'm gonna make it a lot worse. I'm just kidding. It's not gonna be that bad. We're gonna be talking about the 2009 historical musical comedy drama Taking Woodstock. So this is the finale of the Lee-gacy.
Oh, did we decided to settle on Lee-gacy?
I hope so, because this is the last one.
Oh, okay.
We can, I still like the "you won't like me when I'm angry."
Yeah, but it's not ours though. It's somebody else's.
I know.
You can't just
Lee-gacy
take
is
it.
100% ours.
I think it's fine. It's not as racist either, so I think that's okay.
I still disagree with that.
All right. Well, you would, wouldn't you?
Hey, do you know what? I used to get bummed out when it rained, but then I realized it's just God's way of washing hippies.
Where did that come from?
That is a Dimitri Martin joke. Who stars in this film, along with Imelda Staunton, Henry Goodman, Liev Schreiber, Jonathan Groff, Eugene Levy, Emil Hirsch, Paul Dano, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and maybe 50 other very, very famous actors of our time that we all still love and enjoy today. This film is incredibly stacked.
Maybe too stacked.
I agree, because there's too much star power and too much incredible acting happening. But it's still centered around Dimitri Martin. This is his first starring role in a film. He's cameoed in, I think, 5 other films, or this is his 5th film. But this is his first lead role.
Yeah,
And
I think he's fine.
I like Dimitri Martin a lot. I've seen him live a couple of times. One of those times I fell asleep. It was just not a good set that night. It's not his fault. I'm also a very sleepy person. But yeah, I don't think he's not carrying the film. Do you know who carries this film, in my opinion?
Who?
Liev Schreiber.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't turn up till like halfway through.
I live for him in this film. I love it.
Yeah,
I loved him.
Yeah, he's solid. I think he's pretty solid.
The life just got breathed back into me as soon as I saw him.
Oh, okay.
And every time.
Well, that's good. I'm glad that you felt pretty much dead the rest of the time today.
During the film.
Oh, during the film. I thought you meant just in life. You're a fucking zombie. Zombieing around.
Sometimes. Life is really hard.
Oh my god, Ryan, I'm so sore. Life is pain.
It
fucking
pain.
is. Yeah, it is life is pain. Although according to that T-shirt that we saw in that Zara shop out in Disney Springs, it said life is random, and then underneath it was all the symbols you would find on your washing, like your washing instruction symbols. Like it can only be washed in like 30-degree temperature, otherwise it'll run.
I mean, that's so random.
Fucking Zara.
It's so random.
The clothing shop.
As we've mentioned, obviously, this is the third and final Ang Lee penis picture that we have.
Yeah, we covered him extensively on that first ep, so we're okay. We don't need to cover it anymore.
No, you know who he is.
You know exactly who he is by this point. You're now his best friend.
Aww.
Even if he doesn't know it.
That's okay. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes, you think you're better friends than you actually are. And that can hurt, but, he doesn't know. What are you doing?
So it's attacking my feet.
So now that we and Ang Lee are dear friends, I thought I would give you the synopsis of this film that is incredibly long. The story of Elliot Tiber and his family, who inadvertently played a pivotal role in making the famed Woodstock Music and Arts Festival into the happening that it was. When Elliot hears that a neighboring town has pulled the permit on a hippie music festival, he calls the production... No, he doesn't. I can't read. Oh, God. Shh, be quiet. He calls the producers...
long anyway.
I'm not even halfway done. He calls the producers thinking he could drum up some much-needed business for his parents' rundown motel. 3 weeks later, 500,000 people are on their way to his neighbor's farm in White Lake, New York, and Elliot finds himself swept up in a generation-defining experience that would change his life and American culture forever.
I always ponder it. Like, do people understand how long a synopsis is meant to be?
I'm tired from that.
It's like, that's incredibly dense. That's the entire movie,
Halfway
pretty much.
through, my eyes went crooked. That's why.
Of course they
I
did. Yeah, that's fucking insanity. I mean, it's obviously, I think it's isn't it not user generated, like information, like those pages?
What, can I yell at someone who wrote that on Letterboxd?
Yeah, probably.
What are you doing?
Yeah, or you go to that person's IMDb page for like, their top film is The Dark Knight. Is that sort of person? That's a good movie, though. Yeah, but it's kind of like, well, hey, look, let's put it this way. Might as well just get this out here right now.
Uh-oh.
The Dark Knight is only good pretty much until the last 20 minutes, and then the last 20 minutes is just fodder. Absolute fodder.
But why are you going to crap on a movie that's good, and then the end maybe isn't as good?
It's not perfect. It's not a perfect movie.
It's a very good movie.
Okay, whatever.
And this isn't a very good movie. I was trying to transition. So the tagline for this film is, "A generation began in his backyard." So, yeah, it's interesting. So Elliot Tiber is a real human being. This film is based on his memoir with the same name. And he actually met Ang Lee at an event and pitched this movie to him in person. He gave him like a 1-minute pitch. And the producers were saying, we don't want to make this a regular thing, so please don't bombard Ang Lee with your movie tips. But it worked, and they actually obviously made this film.
Yeah, it's I think I always liked the story of Woodstock. Just kind of this idea of how it is. I mean, I don't know if I knew it completely, kind of beat for beat. I remember about the family, and obviously they were able to kind of set their location. That's where everybody was able to go. That's why Woodstock, became the legend that it was. But yeah, the amount of depth this film goes into. I mean, it's quite long. I mean, it's 2 hours long. Is that long? Probably not. It's only half an hour over the ideal length for any movie. But it's like it does. It is a bit slow. I wouldn't say it's actually funny. You call it like a comedy drama. I don't really find it funny. It's innocuous and kind of innocent enough. Although we'll kind of get into it, and you'll be like, innocent, Ryan? What are you thinking?
It is.
It's just a little slow.
You know what? It's almost like being the first person to a party and kind of watching the hosts set up. That's what this movie feels like to me.
I guess, yeah. But then you never get to meet the hosts.
Well, no, the hosts are the motel owners and Dimitri Martin.
Oh, okay.
That's the host. You showed up at this party and you're like, oh, whoops. Uh-oh, is the party not ready yet? And then you fall asleep in the bathroom because you drank too much before everyone actually gets there.
Oh, so
it's how Bilbo got knocked out at the battle in The Hobbit. Do you know what I'm saying? And he wakes up at the end. He was there for all that pre-party, and then he wakes up and it's all over. I'm saying that because you don't see Woodstock. You don't see any music happen.
No.
That doesn't happen in this film. And I know when you see the title, Taking Woodstock, you assume, oh, I'm going to watch at least some people dressed up like Jimi Hendrix or something. And
potentially, yes.
you never
you'd
even get
expect
close.
something more than what it is, I guess.
Fair. It's fair enough because it is based on a memoir of this guy, so you're
Yeah, he would
following
have been
his
able
story.
to. Yeah, because otherwise he wasn't technically able to see Woodstock,
Right.
even though it was effectively in his backyard. And he helped to bring it to fruition. I mean,
It's cool, but it doesn't make for a necessarily interesting cinema experience, in my opinion.
I find it to be kind of droll and a little bit lifeless.
Yeah.
Just feels a little bit kind of like it has this nice veneer, but I also have an issue with films set during the 60s anyway, because it tends to just look a little bit like those flashbacks from Austin Powers, where everybody's kind of, dressed as they would be during the 60s,
Yeah. Yep, that's how it would
yeah.
go.
But I don't know what I don't know what it is. You just kind of, like, even if it is like the 60s, I feel like there's just an inauthentic, like, sense about it,
Well, everything in this film, I mean, there was some stuff that I was reading saying that even the bands that were playing, like, that was all recorded for the film. There, other than kind of the soundtrack that was playing over, like the live music that was playing was all recorded
Yeah.
for the film. It's not Woodstock recordings that you're hearing.
Right. There's some...
There's no footage from Woodstock at all.
No, because that was something I was asking, because there's a lot of split screen stuff in it, which is also something that I'm not...
Some trip
Well,
screen.
I don't know. I see split screens in an Ang Lee movie, I start to get, like, PTSD Hulk stuff. As much as I like that movie, the editing in that is I don't know. I made a decision on it recently. I think it's horrible. But anyway,
Man.
yeah, I didn't. It's kind of just like well, no, we need to speed this film up, so let's just put some split screens into it, and we'll show the shots that were in the sequence before, just slightly off to the left in a slightly different panel. Yeah, a lot of that split screen stuff just didn't really scream to me because it only happens in a few select moments in the movie, and then when it just kind of doesn't happen anymore, you're like, oh, what happened to the split screens?
Yeah, well, it's just his idea of a montage at this point, but it's an unnecessary flair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, a star wipe doesn't go amiss.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I had a little bit more about Elliot Tiber, the actual human being. So,
Okay.
not too long after this festival in real life, he moved to Los Angeles and became a movie set designer. And he passed away in 2016. But he got to see his movie made.
Yeah.
It's not as it shows in the film, where Demetri Martin, while people are still leaving the festival, is packing his bags to leave. Not quite like that. That's very strange. Also, how are you going to get your car out of there? There's 500,000 people in your front yard. Very busy.
Yeah. It was, there's a little, I guess there's liberty taken with his story, just to give it dramatic value.
Oh yeah, I mean there's
it's such a shame because we've covered like Brokeback and stuff like that, and that's where you really understand how Ang Lee can really kind of like craft a story. But it's just a little sleepy. Like the intricacies of putting this thing together from the perspective of the people who helped make it happen. I don't know if that's the story I'm particularly interested in seeing, like money changing hands, like money in a bag, and all these investors and all this other stuff, like people constructing phone booths. Like,
yes.
it's a little bit extraneous. Like it just gets a little bit much. I do like overall though how real a lot of this stuff is, because it's all real helicopters, it's all real, for the most part, it's all real people in some of these shots.
Yeah.
Other than obviously the massive wide shots of like 500,000 people in a field.
Tripping on acid.
I think before we started this, I got myself a little bit glonky, so I'm feeling it. That's why I feel
You
like
needed to get in the spirit.
I'm starting to panic because I started thinking I'm not saying enough. But literally, we've only been recording for so long. I feel like I've been sitting here for hours.
I love that you're going to edit this back and go, oh no.
Oh no, this is a mistake.
Oh no.
Yeah.
It's just going to be me on this recording.
It'll just be Laura, and I'll re-record.
You'll dub it in.
I'll re-record all of the things that I would say, so it makes sense to whatever you're saying.
So I talked about Demetri Martin a little bit, but I don't know. I think I have a longer kind of history and relationship with stand-up than you do, potentially.
I think there's certain stand-up that I've seen that you've not, and there's stuff that you've seen that I've definitely not.
That's fair. Were you familiar with Demetri Martin before you met me?
No, you know what he reminded me of? He reminded me of the film director's assistant from True Romance, who's also
Balky?
Yeah. He's also
From Perfect Strangers.
Yes, 100%. Oh my God, we brought up Perfect Strangers. Yeah, because I was also going to be. He's like the artist with the gallery in Beverly Hills Cop. Get the fuck out of here! That guy.
I love Perfect Strangers.
Yeah, you showed me the intro to that a few times.
There is going to be a day where we visit Chicago and we will reenact the whole opening sequence from Perfect Strangers, and I get to be Balky. Me. And you.
I can be the other guy.
Larry.
Yeah.
I love Perfect Strangers, you guys. Let's change this over. There's no dicks in Perfect Strangers, but,
You can't keep on just jumping away from Taking Woodstock. I know it's boring, but we have to cover it. Okay.
So Demetri Martin.
You just heard the disappointment in her voice. Like, we have to continue talking about Taking Woodstock.
He still continues to do film roles, but it's more of in a cameo aspect. Most recently, he was in the Al Yankovic story, which we saw.
Yeah, we did. I can't remember.
Well, that film was full of cameos, but that movie was pretty good.
Yeah, I liked it. I liked it a fair amount.
So he ended up getting this role, and like I said earlier, it's his first lead role in a film, after James Shamu, just kidding, the screenwriter producer, oh my gosh, are you okay?
Shamu, like the whale.
Yeah. After his daughter showed him a clip of Demetri on YouTube one night, and the producer's like, oh, that's interesting, which led to kind of a general meeting with James initially, and then 9 months later, Demetri met with James and Ang Lee, and they happened to have this project. And I think Demetri Martin had said before that he only really ever envisioned himself in a film if he actually wrote it, so he could write him into it. But this was not that film, so I think he lent very heavily on like Liev Schreiber and Emil Hirsch, and was trying to get like help and tips, and they're all very seasoned and professional actors, so he didn't get too much help.
Yeah, it's a shame Shamu wasn't able to fucking Shamu. I love
James
that.
Shamu.
Oh God. Yeah, I think he does. I think he does fine.
Yeah, he just isn't. He can't carry a film.
No,
so anytime you see
no.
someone like Paul Dano pop up, or every time Liev Schreiber showed up, I'm like, yes. Or Eugene.
Yeah, but why wasn't Paul Dano in the lead of this? He would have been fine. He would have been perfect, actually, probably.
Yeah.
But I think Demetri does okay. I think
he does.
It's what they're given. Like there's so many characters in this movie, and I mean, unfortunately, just Demetri doesn't pull it off to the point where you care about what's going on with him. He does cry in the movie a little bit, but it does look like we don't see him physically cry.
No,
it's like they just kind of wet his face.
At the very end, I looked and I'm like, ooh, oh no, and it just looks like little droppers got dropped onto his eyes.
Demetri needs to cry now, boys. And he just like a couple of little men just come out with an eyedropper and just like there you go. Yeah, it's
Well,
Yeah,
there's
it doesn't look good.
no,
It really doesn't.
apparently there's a lot of deleted scenes, and I think something that they tried to touch on, and I don't know if they shied away from it or what was going on, but Elliot's character, Demetri Martin's character, is gay, and you know what? To be fair, I guess you don't have to harp on the fact that someone's gay. People are just gay if they are, so you don't have to make it a plot point necessarily. But apparently, in the book and in Elliot's actual life, that was a big point of contention, and it was hard for him, as it would be for anyone in the 60s, you know. So that was something he struggled with that they didn't really touch on in the film too much. But there are some deleted scenes.
Well, I wouldn't have known unless you said it.
Well, his friend that called him on the phone at one point in the film, Steve, or Steven, I guess.
Yeah, Steve.
He brought up the riot, so he's talking about the Stonewall riots, which Elliot was at.
Okay.
And so while he was living in New York, he was kind of active in, you know, the LGBTQ community.
Got
and
ya.
so, you know, and I think when he was in New York, he was just himself, so he was able to be himself, and
Yeah.
you know, he had his community of friends and stuff. So, but the actual man, and there were deleted scenes about this, was he's really into leather. So so the actual Elliot's like quite a leather daddy, and like to go to leather daddy bars. A la cruising, yes. Thank
Cruising
you.
is like a lubed up forearm going into a man's anus.
Good Lord. So Demetri was worried that he didn't think he could adequately portray Elliot's character because he had read the book. And he's like, can I do the leather daddy stuff? Like, am I going to be believable in this role?
Disarming.
But
I do wonder what
Like
certainly
Martin
what they
would
do
have
with the
looked like if he
character
was-
and stuff like
leather
that,
vest.
because he's fairly like kind of
I know.
you know, he's artistic and stuff.
well,
He's fairly
it would have,
buttoned down,
like,
you
Yeah.
know, like his
Ooh,
parents
what
had
would it
quite a
have been,
hold on him because
it's
obviously
not
his
breaking the
mother's
ice,
like
it
would have been you know, she's a kind of hard edged like Russian immigrant. They were living in New York, and you know, she's got his hold on him, and he's not particularly loud. So I don't know. There's footage of the original guy in that documentary. He looks like a big beefy bear boy.
That's right.
Yeah, who likes his leather.
Leather bear.
That makes sense. You know what I mean? Leather bear.
Is that a thing?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe it is now.
Cool.
But yeah, it's yeah, it's a yeah. I mean, that's the thing. You don't miss it. You don't miss the leather stuff.
I don't know how it would have fit in with the tone of the film. The
Yeah.
tone is pretty neutral.
Very moot. Yeah, incredibly moot. Because that's the thing. It's not particularly funny.
There's no highs and lows either. It's not. It's weird
No.
because it kind of does stray away from a typical structure where you have obstacles and such things that you have to
I'd say-
overcome, and then you end
yeah.
up at the end result. I think this film it goes, we have an obstacle. Oh, we've overcome it. Okay,
Yes.
and then it just continues on.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's like every single obstacle is actually completely waved away incredibly quickly.
Yeah,
to the
it's
point where
never
you're
an
like,
issue.
well, to the point where you're like, well, why are we even focusing on this whatsoever? A film of this type, which I think is kind of better, and I wish we were watching it instead, was Almost Famous. You know what I mean? I was getting like really strong kind of Almost Famous vibes, and that movie's far better than whatever this is. Yeah, no, I wondered that. That's probably another reason why it was just kind of dull. It's just like
No action at all.
the plot is incredibly thin.
The most action-packed part involves Paul Dano in a van.
Yes, the second movie with Paul Dano mostly in a van.
Yeah. We
But,
won't talk about that movie, though,
why?
because there's no nudity in Little Miss Sunshine.
Oh,
What movie are you talking about?
well, no, that was the movie, but I was thinking about Prisoners as well.
Oh,
Spends a lot
man.
of his time,
Because
kidnapping children in a van. But
okay,
yeah.
so it's 3 movies.
At least, I mean, there could be a Paul Dano theme. I wish this was a podcast about Paul Dano and Vans.
I was going to say that Paul Dano seems to pop up on the penis periphery because we've seen him, or we've talked about him before in 12 Years a Slave.
He's always got a little, yeah, he's always just in the corridor of a doorway. You know what I mean? You're just like, oh look, there's Dano again.
Oh no, his van's outside.
Taking a wink. Yeah.
Paul, no.
No, Paul. All right, no. Hello, Paul.
So I found out that when
Paul Dano, we're saying it wrong.
Dano? No. When Paul Dano found out he got the part, he was so excited that he decided to not cut his toenails so he could get into the hippie character. I don't know why he thought that hippies didn't cut their toenails. Is that a thing? Because there's that part when they're doing the acid in the van and Paul Dano is rubbing his feet and legs like all up and down Dimitri Martin. And Dimitri Martin said that during that scene, he couldn't stop thinking about his gross feet. Because I kept thinking about it.
It's gross.
And I looked and I saw it, and his toenails were long.
They do look a little long, yeah. I don't know if they're like Howard Hawks long, but certainly, yeah.
Howard who?
Howard Hawks.
Who's Howard Hawks?
Well, he's a film director. He's a filmmaker.
Is that Howard Hughes?
Is that Howard Hughes? Howard Hawks.
Hudson Hawk?
No, I think I'm getting... No, Howard Hawk is actually a film director. Am I getting mixed up with Howard Hughes? Hold on. Let me figure this out. Yes. Alright, so it's Howard Hughes.
Yeah.
Hold on. I'm going to just double check.
Howard Hawks?
There's a Howard Hawks. Don't
you
do
can
that to me.
keep doing your research, and I'm going to keep talking.
Yeah, here he is.
Oh.
Howard Hawks.
Okay.
He directed His Girl Friday and Gentlemen Prefer Blondes and The Big Sleep. Howard Hawks.
I've never seen any of those films.
Okay, well, he is an old-time director. I thought...
Yeah, I don't watch old-time films.
I told you, I'm
gross.
I told you, I'm kind of fucked up. You can't do things like that. I thought I was losing my memory. I was like, no, it's
I'm
definitely
here to keep
Howard
you on
Hawks.
track, and then, you know...
Well, look, here's the thing, because I'm keeping all of this stuff in, because I'm not editing this episode that well. It was Howard Hughes who had it was Howard Hughes that had the OCD, and then he ended up locking himself away, and he had, like, you know, tissue boxes for shoes, and he didn't cut his nails and stuff. That's Howard Hughes, yes. But Howard Hawks was also a filmmaker that I just kind of pointed out there, so it's okay. I wasn't technically wrong.
You were, but...
I was like 50% there.
Okay, yeah, good job.
But really, it's reflective of the fact that I'm only 35% here.
At least.
Yeah, it is depleting, like, fast. Yeah, like I feel like I got poisoned in a video game and my health's going down quickly.
I like the part in the beginning of the movie where Dimitri Martin he's like the head of the city council, right?
Yeah.
The city council. And he holds a meeting and they're trying to figure out, how's the town going to get money? You know, this is the beginning of the film before we have Woodstock come in.
That's true.
And everyone's coming up with ideas like, we should have the running of the bulls and have them chase all the people in the town down the street. And another person just goes, monorail. Monorail. And then who is it? Jeffrey Dean Morgan in the back going, you can't bring up... No, he doesn't. Someone else does. You can't keep bringing up the monorail. And then they say monorail like 5 times. And then me and you are on the couch chanting, monorail. And boy, oh boy, would this film be different if it was written by Conan O'Brien.
Yes, it would be. It would be funny.
So good. That's such a great episode of The Simpsons.
Yeah, I wish I could remember where were the other monorails other than Springfield though that destroyed the towns.
Oh no.
It's not like
I know one person that's going to be mad when they hear this that
they
if
we
don't know.
He's going to be annoyed.
New Haven town.
I think it's New Haven, isn't it? New Haven and
North Haverbrook.
Oh
my God.
Because that's a mixture of like 5 different towns in America, though, right?
It's North Haverbrook, and I can't remember the other one.
Right. Well, I don't think it doesn't really matter because we're just going to infuriate him, and he'll tell us later.
I'm sorry,
he's
Ty.
Telling us, but yeah, they go on about the fucking monorail. But But yeah, well that's where well we meet obviously Jeffrey Dean Morgan. He's there.
Beefcake.
Negan, if everyone remembers that terrible zombie show, and
It had
also
its moments.
also of
Some seasons.
also of The Resident fame, that movie with Hilary Swank,
Honestly,
where he
and
does some really awful, creepy stuff.
I love an erotic thriller, especially if you can combine an erotic thriller with
With
a
a home
hider,
invader,
like
yeah.
a hider in the house, home invasion type thing.
Yeah.
Ooh, so
Well,
good.
they already did that with Hider in the House because it's got
That
Gary
wasn't
Busey in it.
that wasn't erotic though.
It's pretty erotic to me.
Ew. That movie's great, but the Resident, that's what that's called.
It's called The
Hilary
Resident,
Swank.
yeah.
Oh, it's
well, we watched it,
horrific.
yeah. It's fucking awful.
It was ramping up, and I'm like, this is going to be great. And then some stuff happens that I will never watch again.
Yeah, I think, and it's not even like, oh, that's like, you're just like, oh, that's pretty fucking horrible. That's just like disgusting.
Yep. Anyway.
Wasn't he like secretly putting the TV remotes up his bum or something? Like, what was it that he was doing?
I'm pretty sure that he was drugging her and raping her and filming it.
Oh, right,
every
that's
night.
right. Yeah, sorry, I just got a vision of him like sticking biro pens up his bum.
I
and
wish
putting
he
them
was
back in,
doing
like, a
ass
holder.
pennies instead.
Ass pennies, yeah, that was
And
like,
sticking pennies up his
pretty
butt.
great.
No, he's not. He's doing worse things.
there's like 2,678 pennies in circulation now.
Is this what we're just going to reference all our favorite comedies?
Well, it's because
Shout out to the Upright Citizens Brigade.
we would rather talk about things that are funny. Because, like I think
This is a mess of an episode.
this is really bad. It's because we don't really have anything.
If you guys don't know these references, just send us a message. I will be happy to send you a link.
We're trying to widen the audience of more than 2 people. So, that's what we're trying to do. So if you understand these references, then you can let us know and you'll win a little prize.
Yeah, our affection.
No, we got stickers. We'll send you some stickers.
Oh, yeah.
It's free to you, but it costs us money.
Ang Lee was talking about the rating for the film and saying that he was so pleased to get an R rating in the States and he's not sure about the rating in other countries.
Yeah.
But he avoided an NC-17. When I was kind of going through this movie before we decided to do it, just to see, because I thought there was nudity in this film and I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
So I'm scanning through it and all I saw was just one little bit of side penis towards the end of the film. And I'm like, okay, well we can do that. That's enough. And we've done worse.
We have done far worse.
I've seen this movie before, but when it came out, when I worked at Hollywood Video back in the day, but we watched it just now.
Yeah.
There is a monster ton of penis in this film.
An absolute parade of peens.
A parade of peen. It is really shocking.
A cacophony of cock.
Thank you. Cacophony.
Cacophony of cock.
So, and I'm not saying it was shocking in the way that existed on the screen. It's just
Murder of mandibles.
the sheer amount and
Oh,
frequency.
a murder remembers. Boom, there you
Ooh.
go. I'm just gonna continue with the references to quantity. Carry on.
No, I can't think of anything. So
a glitter of genitalia. I think that one's not great.
We need a... Okay. So, the first penis scene comes in at 24 minutes and 30 seconds. And this is right when they're trying to get everyone in to decide whether or not they're going to pick their town to do Woodstock. Because they already had Woodstock. It got canceled in Woodstock. Then they took Woodstock to the next town over. And it got canceled there. So this is kind of like their last chance. They'd already sold so many tickets.
Well, Dimitri calls them in and gives them an option. I would also kind of point out as well that, the only reason they're there is he's also kind of doctored this permit for the area.
Yeah, they used a permit that they had approved for something else, and he kind of took it. So, it was illegal.
Pretty much.
But,
And, but he also, there's a lot of stuff that we've kind of overlooked and things, but there's a theatre troupe that lives in the barn on the estate.
Yes.
What are they called again, Laura? Some like Mid-Jewel
It's like American
Mid-Jewel
Lights
Suns
or something.
Yeah, I think it's like something like that anyway. They do expressive, performative, contemporary theatre.
Yes. And so
Yes.
when the helicopter housing Jonathan Groff comes down from the sky,
Yep.
they're dancing in a circle in these kind of tunics or some such
I'd say
things.
shawls.
Some
But those, yeah,
shawls.
the shawls are quickly removed, and you've just got a circle of naked people surrounding this helicopter.
Yeah. And they're just dancing and yelling and having a wonderful time, just totally
Yeah.
naked, prancing about.
Pretty much. I mean, what I've written down here is the helicopter arrives, welcomed by the theatre troupe, waving naked performance. Theatre people. That's what I
I mean,
said.
to be fair, I think it was probably a great introduction or welcome for Jonathan Groff, who's heading
Yes.
off this festival. He goes, "Oh, rad," or "Groovy,"
He's of, well, I
"Tubular."
think he welcomes it because it's just an expression of humanity and love.
Peace and love.
Yeah, this is the 60s, you know, they're putting flowers and guns and stuff like that, and, you know, free love and all this sex and the drugs that you can have. Crazy.
Yeah. The town is very upset that they've decided to hold the show there.
Yeah, bringing this gabble of hippies into their town. They're going to loot and rape their farm animals.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what they said.
That's exactly
Rob
what
our
they
town
said.
by day and rape our cattle by night. And I go, why?
Why would they
Why
do
would
that?
they do that?
Yeah,
Who do they
you
think
know.
these people are?
Well, you know what that was, guys? Projection.
Ooh.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh-oh.
Aye, fucking Farmer Dave. He's sticking his dong in a poor donkey. Yeah, exactly.
We don't need to do that to the donkeys again, all right? We don't need to bring donkeys
We
into
don't need
this.
another year.
Nothing happens to any animals in a bad way. All the
No,
animals
you
are
don't
pretty
really
happy.
see. Well, you don't really see a lot of animals really
There's a
in
bunch
this
of cows
movie.
and a horse and a dog.
There's a wee dog. Yeah, there is a little dog. You don't see him very much either.
Actually, weirdly enough, our dog approved of this film. I think he was asleep hard enough to where he didn't notice all the animals. So
Yeah.
this is a dog-approved film.
It was testament to this film's engagement. That,
The dog's just
the
passed
dog
out.
just kind of passed out.
Yeah.
But yes.
So I think I'm just going to jump to the next penis scene, which is honestly 40 minutes after that one.
Yes.
About. So it's an hour 9 and 21 seconds.
Is this the same? Is this the same one that we're both thinking of here?
I'm skipping over a Liev Schreiber bit.
Yes, yeah, I wondered that. Wondered what you were trying to do
Because
there.
here's the thing, I didn't bring it up because it's not an actual penis, it's an outline in Spanx. But when we meet Liev Schreiber for the first time, what is his,
Yeah.
do you remember his character's name? Her name is like Wilma, something like that.
Yeah, maybe. He's playing a trans man. Or trans woman, sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
He's playing trans. Pretty
Yes.
much, yeah. He's a big beefy boy wearing
Yeah. Yeah, no, he's so big.
he's like post Sabretooth.
He
He's
looks
just like
gorgeous.
he is massive.
He's gorgeous, and he's got this beautiful wig on, and it's right after X-Men Origins. So he is pumped. Like he's never been so big. Wearing
Is Origins the one with Ryan Reynolds
Yes.
as Wade, right? Okay.
Yeah,
Got it. It's that one.
it's that one.
It's got the bone claws. He pops his bone claws and then
Yes.
yeah, okay. Oof.
We should watch that.
No. We shouldn't watch it.
definitely watch it.
It's so bad.
So, yeah, it's right after that, and yeah, a massive man wearing the most delicate dress, and I liked it. I think he looked great.
Yeah, I think he
So he
Yeah.
kind of comes around to let Dimitri Martin know that he's friends with some of his friends from New York, from the riots, and he's there if he wants protection. So that was essentially it, right?
pretty much, yeah.
So he goes-
Didn't get too involved.
He pulls up his beautiful dress and shows him a gun.
Yeah.
And then he goes, well, that's nothing compared to what I'm packing up here. And then pulls the dress up further, and you see the outline of his...
Gigantic nuts. Well, I thought it was another gun.
No, Ryan, it was
I thought it was
not.
just another gun. He's
That
like
was a
packing an
Wingus.
even bigger gun.
That was an outline of a Wingus.
Well, he definitely looked like he had gigantic balls. like huge nuts.
Yeah.
Like fuck it, like they're so
That's what the
big.
Spanx are for. It
it
keeps
looks like
everything in place.
yeah. They're so big. It like looks like one gigantic ball.
It's happening. It's all happening up there.
It's the '60s, man. It's happening.
It's all
Sometimes
happening.
your two balls end up becoming one gigantic ball.
It's all squished.
Yeah, it looked like a wrinkly skin melon. That's
I
probably what
don't
it
even
looks
know
like.
what that means. It's just like he's wearing pantyhose. I don't know what to
Okay.
say about it. Have you ever seen in real life a man wearing pantyhose and then their junk's all squished in?
Yeah, I've done that before.
Have you?
Yeah, wearing pantyhose. I mean, I've got those. I've got those long johns and stuff that I wear.
That's
They leave
different.
nothing to the imagination.
True, but that's different than a pair of nude
Yeah, I think
hose.
the last time I wore tights, let's say, was I was in primary school, and
Interesting.
I was in a play, and I played a little blue bird, and I had to make my own mask and get my clothing. It had to all be blue. And I remember my tights, they were definitely blue as well. I remember being on that stage in primary school. I remember the school halls and all that sort of thing as well.
That's adorable.
The thing is, obviously, I'm a small child. I remember going to my old primary school to vote, and you would see how small some of those chairs were. So obviously,
Aww.
I must have been a tiny boy.
That makes sense. As a young man,
I grew.
I grew up.
Yeah, there are some people out there that don't grow, but that's okay too.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. So I'm gonna bring up the next dig scene in an hour, 9 minutes, and 21 seconds.
Okay.
So we're involved again with the farmhouse art dance performance troupe.
Yeah, a band called Hairy Pretzel is played. It's a bunch of like little hairy kids. Yeah, they call themselves the Hairy Pretzel.
Wonderful.
And I'm like,
That's fine.
I don't know, it's a little close to something else that's hairy.
Okay.
The pretzel, yeah, I don't know.
Cool. So I believe that they're performing kind of for the townspeople as almost a peace offering sort of way. And I think, is this the same time they're doing a press conference? Doesn't matter. But
Well, there's no rain at this point. I think it's just
no, not yet.
They coincide.
This is before the Woodstock happens, because the Woodstock only happens at the very end.
Yes.
So you gonna fall asleep?
No, I don't think so. I'm sorry, you were explaining the film at length. I was like starting to get
everyone else is falling
flashbacks.
asleep. Emil Hirsch's penis. Okay, how about that? Whoa!
Emil Hirsch, yeah. Well, I have issues with just his character in general. I don't like it.
No, because he's a Vietnam veteran.
It's just like this crazed Vietnam guy.
Who seems to be having, PTSD and
Yeah.
flashbacks, but he also isn't.
Yeah.
So it's strange because he'll be off in the woods and acting as though he's reenacting times that he had in the war,
Yeah.
but he's not either. He's pretending? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know either.
Very kind of stereotypical, like, oh, I'm crazy. I'm come back from Vietnam, which is not cool.
I mean, that's
It's not
definitely
a cool
something.
portrayal.
It's definitely something that actually happened. This feels to me a little bit tropey and a little bit short-sighted.
Yeah, it's very strange, his character. I don't like it either.
Yeah,
But
not a fan.
During the scene, you have the performance troupe, and they do their thing again, where they get all of their clothes off, and everyone's on stage, and then everyone's screaming and running around, and Emil Hirsch gets all excited and takes
Doing
off
some Russian classics
his
on the stage.
clothes as well. And everyone's nude.
Yeah. So what I'd written down was Emil Hirsch goes. He's with the theatre troupe on stage to a gawping, appalled audience because it's all the village people who live in the village.
People.
The village people are in the audience. Like everyone from the town has come down to see them basically. But not like them. Came to see the bands and stuff. And whatever his name is, the guy who plays John Boy Walton from that classic show, he's also in this movie.
From It?
He's from It?
Yeah, he's in the original It.
Probably. I remember him as John Boy Walton, and also
Who's John Boy Walton?
John Boy Walton. He's like John Boy. John Boy. He's
From what?
the oldest man from the Waltons.
Oh.
Aye, from probably one of your only other good exports, the Waltons.
No, I'm not familiar. But I did see It, and he is the older one in It.
The original TV version.
The one with Tim Curry.
Well, he's also the lead in the 70s version of All Quiet on the Western Front, which I
haven't seen any of
seeing
those.
in school. Well, I think there's only 3. Obviously, including the new one. The one from the 70s, and then there's the 30s version as well. Anyway.
Okay. There's a really sexy kiss between Dimitri Martin and a hot builder.
Yeah, this is where... That. Well, yeah, this is where it obviously goes a little bit more on the nose with his homosexuality. But the thing is like, you wouldn't know he was gay for the most part because of... I guess because of all of the... Like, the welcomeness of, like, the shenanigans. Because it's all, like... You know, peace and love. There's like, you know, women are kissing each other, women are kissing the men, and all kind of dancing, everyone has a good time. Necessarily him kissing this man or being kissed by this man does not necessarily mean that he's... I'd immediately think he was gay.
No.
I would honestly have said I watched the whole movie and I didn't think he was gay, to be honest.
No, there's just little hints you can see here and there. I think Liev Schreiber says something as well, and whatever. Who cares?
Yeah.
Be gay.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. It's kind of like...
It's all good.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's just... It's nothing, really.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying that now, but I do need to remember that in the 60s, it was very hard. So, it was much harder. So, I could see it being, tough.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's tough now. So, well, gosh, it's not even the last penis scene. So, it happens again. An hour 16 and 45 while the show has started. So you can hear the show that has started, but there's all of these people in a lake and they're just chilling and vibing.
Yeah, they're
relaxing.
It's a whole nice time.
Yeah, and it's really quiet, really calm, really chill.
Yep.
And there's a bunch of naked people out there. Yeah, out behind the motel where everyone's staying.
Yes, pretty much. Yeah, I guess that's a nice thing about this movie, and it's the only thing that I think is quite nice, is just kind of how liberating I think they're able to capture what's going on here. Because we're not talking about like a Bad Lieutenant kind of level of drug detail.
No,
but you are getting what you feel is, a fairly authentic experience, I guess, from like that perspective. And yeah, nothing really gets held back here. Like, folk are naked,
Yeah.
And there's a lot of it. There's just an awful lot of people getting naked in this film.
Especially this part, because it's incredibly natural in a way, and it's just casual. Casual penis, casual boobs.
There's a lot of casual nudity in this movie.
This is the most natural part because the other ones were more performance based.
Pretty much, yeah.
But, that's in terms of what they're trying to do, it's like a shock value. Whoa, there's genitals everywhere. But this one, there's just people just in a lake and they're washing up and having a swim and just enjoying life.
Yeah, there's an authenticity to it. Like, these people aren't wearing their bathing suits because they don't need to.
They probably didn't bring any.
Probably not. No, probably not. I'm not going to wear their underpants. You can't go around having a music festival with wet undies. You're going to chafe.
So James Shamu told reporters at Cannes that the biggest challenge in casting extras for the film was to find people, quote, who were not working out all the time and who still had pubic hair, end quote.
Oh, he wanted them all natural.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Not everyone's sexy. Or at least, hold on, let me take that back.
Brazilian waxes?
No, I would say, well, there's the image that people would they would refer to as, say, like the perfect specimen of humankind, like the ones that go to the gym and they all look the same. I mean, if you look on social media now, you think everybody is, fit and trim and they look fantastic all the time, That's not what it was like back in the day.
I mean, it's not what it's like now either. People are people.
No, that's true. Life expectancy has risen though, so obviously, there is that. But yeah, it's not going to be the people who go to the gym 5 times a week. That's not going to happen.
No. I think the last one I'll just throw it out there is a guy climbing over a fence to get into the Woodstock area near the toilets.
Yeah. We see these toilets relatively quite often, or at least I saw the toilets at least 3 or 4 times during the course of the movie. Because they repeat a shot like 3 or 4 times, like it's tracking across like the toilet stalls, the porta potties, let's call them that. And that happens like 3 or 4 times, maybe just to reference the fact that he's gotten back to that place like 3 or 4 times.
Well, it's right where their offices were. So the Woodstock offices.
Aye. It was...
because, we get to see all of the administrative portions of Woodstock and not the Woodstock
there's a
portion.
There's a lot of paperwork obviously being filed.
A lot of lawsuits.
Yeah, it's a little, like I said, it's just a little bit, extraneous. You just don't
You
need
get to
it.
see Imelda Staunton and Henry Goodman let loose the parents when after a night out at Woodstock adjacent where Dimitri Martin was or whatever, he comes back home and he's eating breakfast with his parents and Liev Schreiber comes in and asks if they want any brownies, and he says they're very special brownies. And he says, no, I'm good, because he dropped acid with Paul Dano's toenails, so he's not down with having any more drugs right now. And Imelda Staunton gets pissed off because she's like, oh, my son, he gets rid of dessert without even asking his own mother.
Are we going to talk about Vera Drake's accent in this film as well?
Yeah. No.
The minute she started talking, I was just like, oh... What a choice.
Some of them are like, oh, they're very New York, and then others have this kind of Russian vibe.
Well, she
has that.
She does, but she's kind of got like this weird balance where it's like she has to pretend to be at least a little bit from New York, so it kind of comes out a little bit. But she's also not American in real life, so
no, she's English, and so is the husband. But knowing Imelda Staunton, she knows exactly what she's doing. I'm sure it's purely authentic.
Yeah, I hope so. It's just an
accent, so it's always a little weird.
Yeah. Well, it's not Ray Winston levels of fucking accents.
Oh, so good.
You know what I mean? Where it's like he can't get the Londoner out of him. Like it will not. His body just starts to like convulse and just reject it like it's a false kidney. Like it will not let him not be the Londoner, even though he's meant to be like, I don't know, Indiana Jones's friend from the war days, quote unquote.
Well, I want to bring it back to the brownies really quick before I have something else to say. But
okay,
the fact, so Liev Schreiber offers them brownies. And then he ends up giving brownies to the parents, right? And I don't know if I've never had special brownies wank in my life, but I'm saying anyone that's ever had edibles, if anyone's ever made special brownies before, you don't eat a whole brownie, right? Like that's pretty common knowledge. At least if you've done it once, you don't eat a whole brownie.
Or at least you would take it slowly. So,
Dimitri Martin asks, how many brownies did you give them? 2? And Liev Schreiber says 4 each. And I tell you what, I would cry. Like, I don't know what I would do. And I've had a moment. I remember specifically when I went to see X-Men Apocalypse.
Well, everyone had the same feeling.
In the theater.
That's not what you're referring to, probably.
I don't know what it was that I ate, but my feet were sweating profusely. at least I think. And I know that everyone in the theater could hear me breathing. And I only had a tiny bit. So if you have 4 brownies, you probably descend into hell.
Right. Okay.
Physically and mentally and emotionally, you're in hell.
Oh, what was it I was watching recently? I think it was John Oliver, and they were talking about like the effects of LSD as like a way of like as a therapeutic.
Yes.
Yeah, and they were
For
talking about
PTSD and people who have had a lot of trauma.
yeah, so pretty much for like people who've maybe been to war and they want to be able to forget some of the things that they've seen, they used LSD as a therapeutic. So they would put them on an LSD trip, almost kind of, in a controlled manner. But then again, LSD is also quite unpredictable. You're not really 100% sure how your trip's going to go. And for the most part, people had, blissful trips and everything was nice. And then it helped them, obviously, in the long run to basically unlock parts of their brain so that they could deal with the trauma. But there was another, I remember seeing in the episode, there was a term used by the doctor that referred to some of the trips potentially being on like the hell gauge or like the hell spectrum or something. They're like
Yeah.
hell trips.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the term they used because I think I wrote it down somewhere because I thought that's fucking genius. But I'd need to look it up to see what it is. But yeah, like that was obviously something. There was like, holy shit. That's like, well, what if that happened to you when you were with Paul Dano in the van?
I know. Well, they had to keep calming him down and say, you're good, you're safe. And I don't know. It's just very scary. I know that marijuana can't kill you, but you can't OD on it. But I mean, you can go
No.
too far. Like you could go too deep down that rabbit hole. And 4 brownies, you would not be dancing on the porch in the rain with your husband.
Yeah, I'm
You would
surprised.
cry.
I'm surprised none of them suffered a whitey. And then it was,
What is a whitey?
a whitey is when you've had too much drugs and your face goes all pale and then you vomit.
Yeah.
You have a little bit of a
yes,
whitey.
absolutely. That's what would have happened to them. They
Yeah.
would not have been dancing and having the time of their life. They would not have, it would have been a life-changing experience in the fact that they would have gone and done a whitey, like
We
you
weren't, yes. Well, that's for all my friends back home, for all of us that have ever whiteyed in our lives.
said. Shout out to you.
Yeah, shout out to you. And if you're currently whiteying, you're going to be okay.
You'll be fine.
You'll be all right.
You'll make it through.
You'll be good.
So the film,
Just do it again.
do you mind if I just get to the end?
I think so. Did we do all of the dick scenes? There's the guy climbing over the fence.
I
Was he
mentioned
the last
it.
one?
I mentioned it like 15 minutes ago.
Oh, well then, yes.
Near the
that's fine.
porta
There's
potties,
a
remember?
lot. Yeah, well, there's a lot to keep up with.
Yeah.
Yeah, what happens at the end of the movie?
So Jonathan Groff rides up on a horse, and I thought that was a pretty big highlight for me. I think he's great. Jonathan,
good.
I keep talking about Jonathan Groff. You guys know who he is. He was in Mindhunter.
That's probably his most... well,
Maybe for you, his most famous thing.
it's his most famous. I think that's where people initially saw him on a wider scale.
But he was in Hamilton. He was the king.
Yes, he's on the stage. He's in Hamilton. Obviously, the Disney recorded version, obviously.
Well, I think that's the original Broadway cast, from what I understand.
Okay. Well, either way, and he's also in the Matrix Returns, or whatever it was called, Resurrections, Matrix Returns. I prefer
The very
that.
newest
of the Matrix. The newest, yes. I had the kazoo version of the Rage Against the Machine track in the credits. Although we already know who that person is, and she did that. She took like a giant piss on stage or something into like a fan's face. Can't remember what her name is now.
Wow.
Yeah, remember there's that kazoo version of that of Wake Up, I think.
Nope.
At the end of the credits, and we looked up the performer of that song, and there's a story about her pissing in a fan's mouth or something.
I remember that video. I do remember that video.
It's something of that ilk, I think.
So, Jonathan Groff, when he rides up on that horse, he's telling Demetri Martin, come look him up in San Francisco. They're putting together a really big free concert. and he, it would be great for him to be involved. But that concert he's referencing is an actual concert called the Altamont Speedway Free Festival. So, and this is, have you heard of this? Do you know this festival I'm talking about?
Well, the way he says it as if it's a sequel to like it's going to be a movie.
Well, yeah, no, that's true. Well, they, okay. So
it's like James Bond will return in.
Yeah, they did think that
Altamont.
this was going to be like West Coast Woodstock. So, the Rolling Stones were there. Like Grateful Dead was involved. Who else was there?
Basically,
Jefferson Airplane.
Okay, everyone that was pretty much at Woodstock, because that's pretty much the same list they cited in that.
Were they?
Were the Stones at Woodstock?
I don't think so.
Well, what's that? What was that documentary of? Was it Helter Skelter? That Maisels Brothers movie about that Rolling Stones concert, and then the Hells Angels are there, and then they get.
That is this concert that I'm talking about.
Oh, and the Hells Angels are there, and they stab that person and kill them.
So this is what people consider the end of the hippie era. Was this concert, the Altamont Free concert, because I think 4 people died, and the Hells Angels were hired as security, and they paid them in beer, and obviously that didn't go well, and several people died. So.
God, yeah. Okay. Well, this is obviously the one that I know the story of, from the documentary.
Yeah, one of the Hells Angels members said, "We don't police things. We're not a security force. We go to concerts, enjoy ourselves, and have fun."
Yeah.
We can give people directions and stuff, but they they didn't.
I would love a member of the Hells Angels to give me directions. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, so they got
Still
paid
waiting for
in
my
beer.
Hells Angels voice on my Waze app.
But
that
some
would be
people,
great.
like Jefferson Airplane and I believe the Grateful Dead, had used members of the Hells Angels in order to provide security.
Oh, of course. Yeah, of course they have. Yeah.
It just didn't go well for that concert.
No.
And
no.
It was a disaster.
Yeah. No, I mean, we're talking, I mean, again, with the 60s and certainly into the 70s, like, well, the thing is, like, the Hells Angels are also featured prominently in, like, B movies and stuff like that. Like, was it Peter Fonda? Peter Fonda was in a bunch of movies about, like, the Hells Angels on Wheels, like those Roger Corman B movies that he was in the late 60s.
Hunter S. Thompson's Hells Angels book is incredible.
Yeah.
As well.
I think it's ultimately quite fascinating. I think, obviously, ultimately, we start talking about, is it like 1%er gangs and stuff like that.
Oh,
and,
scary.
Like some of the stuff that you need to do in order to, I think about like season 1 of True Detective, because that's like a 1%er gang. They're like dealing drugs with like cartels and stuff in Mexico and things like that. And like that is, the drug sequences in True Detective season 1 are better than the ones in this movie.
I don't sleep, I just dream.
Time is a flat circle, everybody.
So, I don't have, this film didn't win any awards. It had a $30 million production budget, and it only grossed about just under 10 million worldwide.
Yeah.
So, not good.
It was probably reamed by critics and stuff as well. Like you say, I think because it's a film about Woodstock, I can understand why there's no music in it and there's no kind of other representation, certainly because, they're writing it from the perspective of this man, but it feels criminal that it's as dull as it is. It's kind of like, it's like what First Man did to space films. It made space boring.
I fell asleep during that.
Yeah, it's like looking out of a porthole and seeing nothing but like blackness, and you're like, that's space.
Yeah, I'm gonna go take a nap.
You're like, woofed. Yeah.
So I think I'm gonna start with my ratings, and so for visibility and context for this film,
Are we doing them all together? Like all of these moments all put together? I think it's 5 moments, right?
Say that again?
There's 5 dick moments in this film.
Yeah, at least. I don't know, I'm just doing the whole thing. But I mean, to be fair, through each scene, for the most part, to me, it's 5. Very, very casual nudity. And I do think it lends to the time as well, and the situation.
Yeah, it's got a live, laugh, love feel about it.
Live, laugh, peace.
Love. Live, laugh, love. Love, laugh, live.
So yeah, I'm gonna go on a 5 with that, and I think that it was. I don't know. I think it worked. It was never surprising. It just worked its way in, and you go, oh, okay.
Yeah, it fit kind of what they were doing and the aesthetic of the whole thing. Yeah, I would probably agree with you. Maybe say like closer to a 4 and stuff. Like it's all fine. I mean, it helps add to the fact. I mean, this film was R-rated eventually, right?
Yes.
But yeah, to me, I don't know.
A huge lack of profanity as well. So I don't know if they had to specifically.
I would say
they go maybe cut down on the profanity in the leather daddies, and we'll let you keep your dicks.
Yeah, I think. Well, yeah, I think the film's a little bit too bloated anyway. But yeah, yes. I guess so. All the profanity tends to come from Emile Hirsch.
Yeah.
You know, as the quote unquote crazed Vietnam vet.
When Dimitri Martin, right before he takes that drop of acid, he goes, what the heck?
It's like, yeah.
Okay.
It's like if you're... Yeah, it's like if the dad from Malcolm in the Middle decided he was going to take acid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
How
cute. And then his inner monster comes out.
Breaking
like
Bad.
The real Bryan Cranston comes
Bryan
out.
Cranston's awesome.
Yeah, he's pretty great. Well, he's good in those episodes of Seinfeld he's in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for bringing up Seinfeld for me.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think it's only like 2 episodes that I like.
Where he converted to Judaism so he could tell jokes. So
yeah.
good.
It's not, yeah. You know what? Larry David did an okay job with that show. God, I must be fucked up. Why am I saying
know.
Why
are you doing this?
God.
I'm so excited.
Well, yeah, don't get too excited.
Let's watch Seinfeld.
Okay.
Here, wrap it up. Let's watch Seinfeld.
All right. Well, what about the ratings?
For the film?
I guess.
I rated the film 2.5 on Letterboxd. It is a boring film. I like everybody in this film, and I think everyone's doing a nice job, but you don't get enough of any one person to really kind of grow with them.
No.
I don't feel like Dimitri Martin did a whole lot of growing. I do like him. He told some really funny jokes, and he's just a good person to see. I like Dimitri Martin a lot, but I don't know.
It's kind of like...
I don't know.
It's kind of like every performer was given their little slice of edible scenery, and it was like an eating contest. And It was like, how quickly can you eat this?
Man, I mean, Eugene Levy, he's barely in the movie. He's so good.
He's in and out, yeah. He's in and out, and you're like, oh, it's Eugene Levy, and then you never see him again.
Yeah, Jeffrey Dean Morgan. You're like, oh, amazing. Wow, look at him. Bye-bye.
And he's kind of just like cast off to the side. He plays Hirsch's father in the movie.
Wait, who does?
D. Morgan, sorry. He plays his father. Emile Hirsch's actual father.
Oh.
Yeah, in the movie, obviously, as the vet. He's like...
Yeah, Emile Hirsch isn't even in it that much. Like, Lee Shriver could be in it more, but every time he's there, it's wonderful.
Well, here's the thing, but then they use... Emile Hirsch is like an emotional crutch as well, because it's like, you know, he went to Vietnam. It's like we should be feeling sorry for him because, you know, he went to Vietnam, and there's plenty of references of, you know, there's fathers obviously where they're like, oh, you know, I've got one kid here, but one's in Vietnam. I wish he was here in this mud, you know, all this sort of stuff. And it's like, all right, okay, we fucking get it. It's like, it's like set during the 60s. There's fucking Vietnam. Thank you.
There's like Holocaust jokes / references and kind of Vietnam joke things in there too. It's
I
weird.
mean, and there's a weird, like, I mean, I guess, like, this is why, there's a fucking swastika gets painted on the side of a house.
That was
Because
weird.
there's
And I'm
certain
sure
members of the community that obviously are fucking Nazis who don't like Jews. And unfortunately, our family at the center of the story are Jewish.
I don't know. I just don't. I think I kept asking you during the film, like,
Yeah.
why are people like this? Why
Well, you
do
kept on-
people don't like Jewish people? I don't
Yeah.
understand, and I just think I don't understand hate in general.
Well,
Why
I
do
think-
people hate?
Well, I think, like, if you go...
Why are people
Well, I was talking to you,
horrible?
I was just like, well, there's a very, very long, thousands-year history of the persecution of Jewish people going all the way back to even, like, Egyptian times. You
I
had
just
Jewish
don't know
slaves
why people would be mean to other people.
I
That's all.
know. Well, here's the thing, you're just like a gentle soul. You don't understand why people can be horrible to each
I
other.
just don't
But,
like people being mean.
I mean, yeah.
That's all. I just
mean,
don't get it. I could
would
never
say-
imagine.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to look up the persecution of Jews through history, like, there's plenty of cited examples, unfortunately. So,
I just want to know the origins and why people are mean. That's all.
either way, yeah, there's swastikas and, like, there's all sorts of horrible profanity being ushered towards this family. But yeah, there's certainly members of the community that don't like Jewish people. Very similar to what you still see today.
I still don't understand it.
Really?
Tell me your rating for the film, please.
Ooh. I gave it 2.
Okay.
To quote one of the members of the theater troupe, I'm bored, I'm bored, I'm bored.
Wow.
I was pretty bored. And also, Danny Elfman did the fucking score to this movie, and I mean, I've no idea what he's contributed to this whatsoever. I don't know, what would have made it better? More split screens?
Yeah, definitely more split screen, so I could get more
Yeah.
film in my eyes than originally I had. Yeah, too much, spread too thin. The concept
Yeah.
is cool, but I don't think it landed. And yeah, that's okay. So you can watch this if you want to complete the Lee-gacy. I assume you've watched this if you're at the end of this episode, so sorry.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame. I think there's a good
not-
story to be told,
It's
but
not the worst, honestly. We've watched worse stuff.
there's that original Woodstock documentary, which is obviously of just the event in general. That's probably worth watching more than this.
I think
would
it's
say.
Gimme Shelter, by the way, is the Rolling Stones documentary.
Oh, Helter
Not
Skelter's
Skelter.
Helter Skelter. No, I think Helter Skelter's a different thing, right? Oh,
Helter
isn't that a
Skelter's-
fucking documentary about fucking like a cult?
The Manson family.
Fuck yeah, it is.
Okay.
Holy shit, yeah. No, I am fucking zonked.
All right. So, thank you guys for joining in on the Lee-gacy, and yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure.
You didn't believe me when I said Helter Skelter.
No, well, no, I knew it wasn't Helter Skelter, but
Yeah. Gimme Shelter. Gimme Shelter is actually a fantastic documentary. I think it's on HBO just now.
oh, cool.
Gimme Shelter. I've seen it before. It's a really good documentary.
Well, we're gonna go watch that. Coming to you from White Lake, New York.
Yeah.
We're not actually there.
Monorail.
I've been Laura.
I'm Ryan.
Okay, bye.
I got another thing I wanted to say.
Okay.
Just say something as if you were like trying to. Just say something like you were trying to introduce the episode, like you're trying to talk about it.
Okay, so we need to get back into this movie about taking Woodstock, and
Wait,
I-
do you smell that?
Bruce smells it. What? No, I don't smell it.
Right, do it again for me, please.
No, what's that smell? What is the smell?
It smells like shit.
What?
Oh wait, it's Woodstock.
Oh man.
Yeah, see, look, if it had, yeah, I don't know, I'm done. He
Okay.
eats grass.
What?